Hi, it's been a minute since I did one of these things, but there's been a lot going on, so let's talk. Let me get some coffee. You get yourself a drink of whatever you enjoy, at whatever time of the day it is when you're watching this. And by the way, people have commented on just how much coffee goes into this pot. It is technically a 2-cup pot, but I need this to fuel me through the afternoon. I'm not actually jet lagged, I'm just working US hours. It's almost the same, but without the fun of being in a different place. But hey ho. But let's get that brewing because I need it. And then we should talk about AI agents. So, AI agents are all the rage these days. Every single vendor seems to have their own. And I think they're interesting for a couple of different reasons. One is that for the first time, we're not talking about chatbots. Now, sure, there's been all sorts of AI stuff going on that's not chatbots forever, but I think we can all agree that the current wave of interest in AI was triggered by the arrival of ChatGPT in November 2022. Crazy to think that it's only just over a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, if that. And that kind of fixated in many people's minds the idea that the way that AI manifests in your life, the way that you can see it and touch it and interact with it, is as a chatbot. And the problem with that is that there are a whole ton of use cases that are not actually a good fit for a chatbot. And you can look at some examples in the consumer space of how this has gone wrong, because of course we had the idea of robots-ish that you could talk to already out there. There was Alexa, there was Siri, shut up Siri, there were all sorts of these things, and none of them really took off beyond the most basic things. Set a timer, that sort of thing, play a piece of music, and even then there are all sorts of hilarious things that would go wrong with that. Because it turns out there are not that many things where a chat service, whether it's voice or text-based, is right interface. In a lot of situations, having to express your thoughts that way is actually counterproductive, it's actually slowing you down. You do it a few times for the novelty, and then you go back to doing it the old school way. Just create your own calendar appointment. Unless you're actually driving, that's the one situation in which I still do a lot of this stuff over voice, it's probably quicker just to click in your calendar app and get the thing done and make sure that it's in the right place, isn't hilariously misspelled, hasn't gone to the wrong calendar, etc, etc, etc. So far for chatbots. Agents are different. So the whole thing with agents is that they are not expected to run interactively. Some of them may do, but there isn't that expectation that they must run interactively or else. And that in itself is interesting because a chatbot has to react within the span of human attention. So you expect a response within seconds. If it's not responding within single-digit seconds, you're probably going to wander off and do something else or just decide to do the thing yourself instead of waiting for the AI. And that makes sense. That's a perfectly correct response. Do the thing the most efficient way. But what if, in order to answer your question, the AI has to query some remote system that has a long lag time, that maybe takes a measure of minutes or even a half hour between updates, some sort of batch process. And maybe it would be useful to have the AI be able to go and pull information from the remote system, correlate it with other more real-time things, and present you with a report, with a graph, with a dashboard, whatever output it is, in its own sweet time. Email you the result, why not? It's often been said that these LLMs are like interns. Sometimes you want to stand over the intern's desk until they give you the thing, and sometimes you just tell them, when you're done, leave it in my in tray, send me an email about it. And so that's one interesting thing about agents. The other thing is that you don't have to be quite so specific when you're creating the agents. You don't have to tell them exactly what to do. They will, to some extent, work it out for themselves. You give them tools and you give them a goal, and they will then figure out how to use the tools to achieve the goal that you set for them. So that becomes interesting in another way, because it's not always 100% predictable what they're going to do, and it's not always 100% explicable what they have done. So I think we're going to see a lot of development around this frontier, and it's important that we do this because there are a whole lot of situations where you need an agent to be able to explain itself, to explain its reasoning, to explain how it achieved a certain output. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to deploy it. You can have all sorts of AI efficiency features in your insurance underwriting process, but at some point, somebody has to be able to stand up, possibly in court if things go badly wrong, and explain why insurance coverage was granted or denied. And just saying, a bunch of agents talk to each other and work this out, I don't know, probably not going to fly. So that's going to be, I think, an interesting area of development. We're already seeing some moves. We at SnapLogic built the Agent Visualizer to help you view that reasoning process as it takes place. We have some ways that you can build guardrails into that process and even reach out to a human in the loop. So if the network of agents reaches a point where it needs human approval or confirmation or what have you, we now have a way to do that in context. You don't have to stop everything and then restart afterwards. You can just quickly pause, ping a human, say, hey, this is what we're doing, make sense? And the human goes, yes, no, and you continue from that point. So I think we'll see a lot more on that front. The final thing that's interesting about agents is because they're everywhere, because everyone has one, I think right now we're in that moment of proliferation where we have AI tools and services and capabilities built into literally every single platform that we have. But because they're built into the platforms, they're disconnected from each other. It's all well and good if you're inside platform A and there's a helpful AI that lives inside platform A and knows all about you, and I'm carefully avoiding naming brands here. But if you then also need to work with platform B for whatever reason, which has its own AI system, which only knows the things about you that live in platform B, is that actually going to be useful? Or would you not rather have the AI system, the agents, that know everything in platform A and platform B? And that, I think, is going to be the steady state that we'll end up at after we get through this explosion of experimentation. Anyway, my coffee's brewed. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about. If you missed Agent Fest, you can check that out on the web. All of the sessions are now available on demand, and I talk more about some of these topics in there and some of the specific features that we rolled out. But for now, I'm going to drink my coffee, and I hope that you will ping me on LinkedIn, on other social media, if you have any questions, if you want to continue the conversation. Cheers.